Good evening. I'm Linda Lee, President of the Audio Publishers Association Board of Directors. Welcome to our industry's most fun and certainly elegant event. And I have to say, we all clean up pretty well. So tonight's our opportunity to celebrate and enjoy each other's company and acknowledge the special accomplishments of our colleagues. Ours is really one of those special industries where most of our competitors are also our best friends. So I know that no matter what happens in tonight's competition, that we're all going to have a good time. As we all sit here anxiously awaiting the results of hours, weeks, months of hard work that we hope will end in glory, I'm sure we remember our parents' advice to us. Keep your head down, work hard, follow the rules, and you'll succeed, right? Well, not always. Tonight, we're going to be sharing with somebody who has risen to stardom through unorthodox experiences and life trials, all of which have given him a unique view on life. While I'm sure he worked hard, he certainly did not always follow the conventional rules. These experiences have contributed to making his writing so exceptional, and which I'm sure will bring a special ethos to tonight's ceremony. According to his Newbery acceptance speech in 2012, Jack Gantos followed a long line of jailbirds to the pinnacle of children's writing, winning the American Library Association Newbery Medal for Excellence in Children's Books for his novel, Dead End in Norvelt. In addition to this most celebrated book, he has written books for readers of all ages, from picture books and middle grade fiction to novels for young adults and adults. His works include Hole in My Life, a memoir that won the Michael L. Prince and Robert R. Seibert honors, Joey Pigs Has Swallowed the Key, a National Book Award finalist, Joey Pigs Loses Control, a Newbery Honor book, and the already mentioned Dead End in Norvelt, the 2012 Newbery Award winner, and the Scott Odell Award winner for Best Historical Fiction. So, without much more ceremony, because I know he's a lot funnier than I am, I'd like to turn the night over to and welcome Jack Gantos.
Well, jailbird. There's a word you don't hear every day. Let me get my auxiliary microphone. So at this point of the evening, I'm supposed to give a few words, some sort of extemporaneous talk. So I was thinking about what to say, and then it became very obvious, especially after I read the introduction with so much focus on my illustrious past, when I was arrested at the Chelsea Hotel, but we won't go fully into that. So I never thought that I would do audiobooks. And once I began to do audiobooks, then I realized why I had so much in common with them. You know that little soundproof booth you get into? I realized I had been in one for about 1.5 years. In order to keep yourself sane in jailbird land, you spend a lot of time talking out loud for some reason. And it's the exact same thing as being in that little studio, because as you were reciting poetry, you know, or remembering your limericks, like, you know, Billy built a guillotine, tried it on his sister Jean, said mother when she brought the mop, these messy games have got to stop. You know, you have a guy in the cell next to you going, Mr. Gantos, I think you dropped a word there. I'm like, really? Yes. And I wish you would take a drink of water. Your lips sound like zippers opening and closing. And is that your stomach? Do you need a break? Did you take your watch off? You know, you're like, geez, Louise. I mean, it was like a flashback going in there. And then when they close the door, it's that thud. And, you know, that compressed air, you know, like sort of pops your ears. And I'm like, wow, I guess I'm back. So, another reason why I never thought I would be involved with audiobooks is this. When I was about 12 years old, a kid in my neighborhood got a tape recorder. And so we would practice, you know, taping each other. So the big show at that time was with Colonel Klink. You remember Hogan's Heroes. And so people would imitate, you know, Schultz, and they would imitate Frenchie, and they would imitate an English voice, and they would imitate all the voices. And then I did it, and they played it back, and I was totally horrified because I can't do a voice to save my life. And I'm like, I could not sound like a German if I lived there. And so I'm like, oh, God, I'll never be on tape. Well, now I am. And everybody knows what I can do, but surely they know what I can't do. I got a lucky break at one point, and that break was because of Tim Ditlow, who's really a terrific guy. And it came about in this kind of goofy way. So I had a book, Joey Pigs Have Swallowed the Key. It was up for a National Book Award, and all year everybody told me, you're not going to win. You will never win. You won't win. Louis Sachar's Holes is going to win, so forget it. Give it up. You're not going to win. I'm like, okay. So I started believing that, but I kind of thought to myself, I'm going to win some part of this. And so the night before you have that reading at the new school, and you get 3 minutes to read, and I thought, I'll kill it in the reading. You know, that's where I'll own the stage. So I got up there, and I knew my competition was a weak reader, and so I just slayed it. I just threw myself at it. I thought, this is my only 3 minutes. It will make up for Schultz and Frenchie and the English guy, and I just kill it. So I did. I had a great time, and I'm walking off the stage. A poet is coming up after me, and the poet just pats me and goes, thanks a lot. And I was like, you know, that must have worked. So I go down, and Tim comes running up to me, and he goes, I need to talk to you. I'm like, oh, God, what did I do wrong? And so he said, no, I think you can read the book. I think you could read the book for audio. And I'm like, oh, you got the wrong guy, you know. Go get somebody who can do voices. But no, I was living in Santa Fe. He came out to Santa Fe, got a studio. We did Joey Pigs Have Swallowed the Key in Santa Fe, and it sounded pretty good, I thought. But I had great direction. I had terrific help. I had the master himself leading the way, building me up, giving me false confidence that felt like real confidence to me, and it was supreme. So that's my little journey here, from reciting odd limericks in prison to trying to imitate not Stalag 17, Hogan's Heroes. That's the opposite. And then Tim pulling me out of the heap of my own insecurity. So, this evening, we have a great evening planned, and I will get it started off in an efficient way, I believe. First, there's a public service announcement. You know, this is very important. When the winner of each, I keep wanting to say the car. And it's so bizarre because my little brother could never say his own name, and so he was always called Audie. He was the odd one in the family, Audie, and that's what I keep thinking of. When the winner of of my little brother, and when the winner of each Audie category is announced, please stand so that your friends and colleagues can applaud your fabulous success. And now, it's my pleasure to welcome to the stage the first presenter of the evening, Amber Benson. She's a writer. Come on up. She's a director and performer, but you may know her best, as I do. I certainly do.
Aww.
Know her best from her work as Tara McClay on the TV show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Could you imagine? And I am Slade, right here. Take it away.
Well, I would hang out in jail with you anytime. I'm really locked up in a little plastic box with you. Sounds awesome. I'm really happy to be here. Free shrimp, free alcohol, and a medal. I'm already a big winner. We're going to begin with autobiography and memoir. The finalists are Daring, My Passages, by Gail Sheehy, narrated by Bernadette Dunn. Living on Air, by Joe Cipriano and Ann Cipriano, narrated by Joe Cipriano. My Life in Middlemarch, by Rebecca Mead, narrated by Kate Redding. Not My Father's Son, written and read by Alan Cumming. Yes, Please, written and read by Amy Poehler with Carol Burnett, Seth Meyers, and a full cast. And the winner of Your Brother is Not My Father's Son, author Alan Cumming, narrator Alan Cumming, publisher Harper Audio, HarperCollins. How do we learn from our past? By curating the stories of the men and women who came before us. When we listen to their tales, they become a part of our shared human experience. They inform the choices we make about our future and hopefully help us not to blow up the world. And the finalists in history biography are The Bully Pulpit by Doris Kearns Goodwin, narrated by Edward Herman. Enduring Courage by John F. Ross, narrated by Edward Herman. Enemy Coast Ahead, Uncensored by Guy Gibson, narrated by Simon Vance. In the Kingdom of Ice by Hampton Sides, narrated by Arthur Morey. Lincoln's Gamble, written and read by Todd Brewster. A Spy Among Friends by Ben McIntyre, afterward by John le Carré, narrated by John Lee. And the winner for history biography is The Bully Pulpit. Author, Doris Kearns Goodwin. Narrator, Edward Herman. Publisher, Simon & Schuster Audio. So I'm gunning for a spot on next year's lineup with an educational title of my own. You know, I thought of it today when I was at the bodega buying eggs. It's called Frozen. How to keep your parents off your perpetually single, career-focused ass. Or alternately, do you see 50 cats in your future? And the finalists in business educational are #GirlBoss by Sophia Amorosa, narrated by Sarah Jess Austell. Creativity Inc. by Ed Catmull and Amy Wallace, narrated by Peter Altschuler. A More Beautiful Question by Warren Berger, narrated by Michael Quinlan. Playing to Win, How Strategy Really Works by A.G. Lafley and Roger L. Martin, narrated by L.J. Ganser. Talk Like Ted, written and read by Carmine Gallo. And the winner for Business Educational Audie is A More Beautiful Question. Author Warren Berger, Narrator, Michael Quinlan. Publisher, Audible, Inc. And that's it for me. Have a wonderful night.
That was fabulous. That was a special award for her. I'm a children's author, please. The word star gets thrown around a lot, but it doesn't even begin to define our next presenter. A towering titan of talent, awash in awards, a paragon amongst his peers, the glittering pot of gold at the end of every producer's rainbow. If the audiobook business were a website, this man would be the splash page, the enter here button, the key to the bathroom door. Oh, this is ridiculous.
There's more, I wrote more.
I could see that. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you the one, the only, Mr. Grover Gardner.
Thank you. Thank you. They said write your own. I did. Thank you, Jack. I hardly know what to say after that generous introduction. Tonight's personal development category covers a wide range of topics from pursuing success in business to strengthening family bonds and the latest breakthroughs in medicine and technology. These very special productions offer a powerful blend of writing and performance designed to both inform us and move us. The nominees are Act Like a Success, Think Like a Success by Steve Harvey, narrated by Mike Hodge. Autism Breakthrough, written and read by Ron K. Kaufman. Becoming the Kind Father by Calvin Sandborn, narrated by Michael Petonin. Learning to Speak Alzheimer's by Joanne Koenig-Kost, narrated by Pam Ward. Strong Mothers, Strong Sons by Meg Meeker, MD, narrated by Marguerite Gavin. What I Know for Sure, written and read by Oprah Winfrey. And the Audies Award goes to, I should have had this open ahead of time, there we go. What I Know for Sure by Oprah Winfrey, narrated by Oprah Winfrey. Very nice, congratulations. Sometimes the most amazing stories are not fiction, they are true. A great nonfiction book surprises us, informs us, and inspires us with stories of extraordinary people, places, and events. Tonight's nominees are no exception. They are Being Mortal by Atul Gawande, narrated by Robert Petkoff. Deep Down Dark by Hector Tobar, narrated by Henry Leva. Flash Boys by Michael Lewis, narrated by Dylan Baker. Furious Cool by David Henry and Joe Henry, narrated by Dion Graham. The Innovators by Walter Isaacson, narrated by Dennis Boutsikaris. Unruly Places by Alastair Bennett, narrated by Derek Perkins. And let's see who gets that car to take home tonight. The winner is Furious Cool, David Henry, Joe Henry, and Dion Graham. And here's my favorite category, science and technology. I love a good book about science and technology. The nominees are Copernicus Complex, written and read by Caleb Scharf. The Marshmallow Test by Walter Mischel, narrated by Alan Alda. A Primate's Memoir by Robert M. Sapolsky, narrated by Mike Chamberlain. The Second Machine Age by Eric Brynjolfsson and Andrew McAfee. narrated by Jeff Cummings. When Google Met WikiLeaks by Julian Assange, narrated by Tom Pyle. And before I announce the winner for this one, I want you to know that they have a choice. They can take home one Audie Award tonight or 2 Audie Awards next week. The marshmallow effect, people. Delayed gratification. Come on, we're book people. Stay with me. And the winner is The Second Machine Age by Eric Brynjolfsson and Andrew McAfee, narrated by Jeff Cummings. Thank you very much. Jack, over to you.
Thank you, sir. If I had that voice, I never would have written a word. Let me read one. Bruce Katovich and Jeff Woodman, please take the stage. Bruce is a producer at Audible Studios, and listeners are happy to spend hours upon hours with narrator Jeff Woodman. He's a master of accents, I'm not, and emotional subtleties, I have few, bringing youthful energy to his recordings. Gentlemen.
Thank you. Thanks, Jack.
Thank you, Jack. Left my youthful energy in my other suit. Bruce and I are here to present the award for Best Package Design.
What's a package?
That's what a physical audiobook comes in.
What's a physical audiobook?
Audible. The finalists for package design are Bad Kitty Christmas Storytime Set, package design by Margot Goody. The Hall by the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum, package design by Cindy Joy. Jean M. Owl's Earth's Children series by Jean M. Owl, package design by Kathleen Miller. Kathleen, thank you. I need all the help I can get. Light at the End by Nicholas Briggs, package design by Alex Mallinson. Under Drake's Flag by G.A. Henty, package design by Steve Tyrell at Tyrell Creative.
And the Audie goes to Light at the End, author Nicholas Briggs, narrator, publisher Big Finish Productions. Next, we've been asked to present the Audie in the humor category.
Yeah, so it'd be really appropriate if we had something funny to say.
It would, yes, yes.
Do you have? Maybe we should leave the humor to the nominees.
Good save. And those nominees are Ben Franklin, Unplugged, written and read by Josh Kornbluth. The Disaster Artist by Greg Sestero and Tom Bissell, narrated by Greg Sestero. Food, a Love Story, written and read by Jim Gaffigan. God is Disappointed in You by Mark Russell and Shannon Wheeler, narrated by James Urbaniak. Yes, Please, written and read by Amy Poehler with Carol Burnett, Seth Meyers, and a full cast. You Can Date Boys When You're 40, written and read by Dave Barry.
And the Audie goes to Yes, Please, author Amy Poehler, narrated Amy Poehler.
Fabulous. Let's see. I love that title, though. Don't you love that title? God is disappointed in you. Everybody has the story with that title. Remember, I was taking communion, and I dropped the wafer. I was disappointing God. I was certain of it. Then I picked it up and put it in my mouth. It seemed covered with hair and crumbs of other gods. It was just very disappointing. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to go down there. For our next two presenters, it is my pleasure, really a pleasure, to introduce from sunny California, the heart and soul of audiobooks, Deborah Dion. Fabulous. Joining Deborah and representing the other parts of audiobook anatomy, the one and only Scott Sherritt.
Thanks, Jack. Everybody, Deborah Dion. Right? Okay. Triumph of the Spirit or a Food for the Soul. This year's inspirational faith-based nonfiction nominees will astonish and enlighten as they tug on our heartstrings and encourage us to carry on and achieve our dreams. The finalists are
Before Amen by Max Lucado, narrated by Ben Holland. Living a Life That Matters by Ben Lesser, narrated by Ben Lesser and Jonathan Silverman. Prepared for a Purpose by Antoinette Tuff, narrated by Robin Miles. The Singer and the Song by Miriam Therese Winter, narrated by Janice Ian. Steel Will by Shiloh Harris, narrated by Johnny Heller.
all righty. And the Audie goes to Before Amen by Max Lucado, narrator Ben Holland. Okay, for this year's inspirational faith-based fiction nominees, they both inspire and reward as they highlight ordinary people overcoming extraordinary adversity or finding beauty, strength, and love in their search for something more. And the finalists are
The Auschwitz Escape by Joel C. Rosenberg. Chasing the Lion by Nancy Kimball, narrated by Joseph Narducci. The Christmas Light, written and read by Donna Van Leer. The First Phone Call from Heaven, written and read by Mitch Albom. Grounded by Angela Carell, narrated by Lisa Brown. A Sensible Arrangement by Tracy Peterson, narrated by Barbara McCullough.
all right, let's see who we got here. The winner is The Auschwitz Escape, Joel C. Rosenberg, narrated by Christopher Lane. Okay, I'd like to invite an award-winning British voiceover actor to the stage, Nicola Barber, originally from London. She now lives here in New York City with us. Nicola is nominated tonight in the category of Best Solo Female Performance. And we wish you the best of luck. Come on up.
Thank you, Scott. Tonight I've been asked to present the Audies in the erotica and romance categories. And I don't know if you noticed, but I think I might have been selected for these specific categories because I'm kind of like a cautionary tale. You know, like, be careful, this is what happens when you listen to too many steamy audiobooks. Or maybe I'm sort of like the sequel. You know, you have those romance novels and they end with love and marriage and gazing off into the sunset. And then this is the sequel, except no one wants to listen to the sequel that sounds like, oh, my lower back is killing me. Even if it's, oh, my lower back is killing me. Sincerely, though, I'm honored to present tonight. In the erotica category, the finalists are Alpha by Jacinda Wilder, narrated by Summer Roberts and Tyler Dunn. Beauty from Love by Georgia Cates, narrated by Bunny Warren and Robert Black. Beauty from Pain by Georgia Cates, narrated by Bunny Warren and Robert Black. Carter Reed by Tijon, narrated by Lucy Rivers. One Dom to Love by Shayla Black, Jenna Jacob, and Isabella LaPearl, narrated by Christian Fox. And the Audie goes to Alpha by Jacinda Wilder. Narrators Summer Roberts and Tyler Dunn, ACX. Next, here are the finalists in the romance category. The Bridges of Madison County by Robert James Waller, narrated by Kelly O'Hara and Stephen Pasquale. Burn for Me by Ilona Andrews, narrated by Renee Rodman. First Love by James Patterson, narrated by Lauren Fortgang. Just This Once by Rosalind James, narrated by Claire Bocking. Rumor Has It by Jill Shalvis, narrated by Karen White. The winner is The Bridges of Madison County, Robert James Waller by Kelly O'Hara and Stephen Pasquale. Barney Turpin is a Los Angeles-based actress and narrator with many stage and screen credits. She's nominated for 3 Audies Awards tonight. Her audiobook credits run the gamut from post-apocalyptic ghosts, battling witches, to ghetto hustlers and indomitable little girls. They're the best kind of little girls. I have one in here right now. Barney is an ensemble member of Cornerstone Theatre Company and has taken a break from her current tour, California the Tempest, to be here tonight. Welcome, Barney.
Thank you, Nicola. Thank you. It's great to be here. This is my first time attending the Audies Awards. So it's also my privilege tonight to announce one of my personal favorite categories, the fiction category. Exploring its many facets, we experience love, history, war, time, magic, and mystery in bold new ways. Sometimes with a little truth, sometimes in outlandish fantasy. And the finalists are All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr, narrated by Zach Appelman. 5s and 25s by Michael Petra, narrated by Kevin T. Collins, Nick Sullivan, and a full cast. The Invention of Wings by Sue Monk Kidd, narrated by Sue Monk Kidd, Jenna Lamia, and Adepero Oduye. Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King, narrated by Will Patton. Us by David Nichols, narrated by David Haig. Written in My Own Heart's Blood by Diana Gabaldon, narrated by Davina Porter. And the winner is All the Light We Cannot See. And now on to literary fiction, the category that brings an even deeper experience and understanding of the world around us. And the nominees are The Bone Clocks by David Mitchell, narrated by Jessica Ball, Leon Williams, and a full cast. Euphoria by Lily King, narrated by Simon Vance and X.E. Sands. Nora Webster by Colum Tobin, narrated by Fiona Shaw. The Patrick Melrose novels by Edward St. Aubyn, narrated by Alex Jennings. And An Unnecessary Woman by Rabi Alameddine, narrated by Suzanne Torin. And Your Fathers, Where Are They? And the Prophets, Do They Live Forever? By Dave Eggers, narrated by McLeod Andrews with Mark Cashman and a full cast. And the Audie goes to Euphoria. All right.
Fabulous. I heard a lot of that when I was in prison. Those Florida chain gangs were very inspirational to my rehabilitation. I'd like to invite Paul Gagney to take the stage, please. Paul. He's the director of production for Weston Wood Studios and Scholastic Audio. Paul has been a prolific producer and director of films, videos, and audio recordings based on children's books for over 35 years. And joining him is the lovely Georgina Marie. She is 5'5.5". And her favorite color happens to be fuchsia. I'm just shocked. P&J, take it away, please.
Thank you, Jack. Okay, we're very honored to be here tonight. Our first category is for Best Classic Audiobook. And I'm just going to jump right into the nominees. The nominees are Under Lock and Key, The Billionaire's Slave, Part 1, 50 Shades Darker, Submit and Obey, A Dominatrix's Journey.
No,
No?
I think you have the wrong list. This is for classics.
Different list. Sorry. Okay, here are the finalists for, in the classic category.
Andersonville by McKinley Cantor, narrated by Grover Gardner.
Breakfast at Tiffany's by Truman Capote, narrated by Michael C. Hall.
Darkwater by W.E.B. Du Bois, narrated by Bernard K. Addison, Dion Graham, and a full cast.
The New York Stories by John O'Hara, edited by Steve Goldleaf, narrated by E.L. Doctorow, Becky Ann Baker, and a full cast.
The Odyssey by Homer, translated by Robert Fitzgerald, narrated by Dan Stevens.
And the Audie goes to...
Open it. The New York Stories.
Our next category is short stories and collections, and in honor of David Letterman's recent retirement, we'd like to read the top 10 reasons why short stories are great.
But because they're short, we'll distill it down to the top 3. Number 3, they're one of the only forms of literature you can enjoy in one bathroom sitting. Number 2, much like bad sex, if you hate it, it'll probably be over soon. Number 1, they haven't gone all politically correct and insist they be called length-challenged stories. Oh, I'm really excited. My agent, who works really hard for me, actually informed me I've been asked to make a stand-up appearance on Late Night with David Letterman.
You know the show's over.
It
We
is?
did his last show last week.
Oh. Okay, I need to call my agent. Excuse me.
Wait. Let's read the finalists first.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, focus.
Here are the finalists for short stories and collections.
The Assassination of Margaret Thatcher by Hilary Mantel, narrated by Jane Carr.
Dangerous Women by George R.R. Martin and Gardner Dozois, narrated by Claudia Black, Scott Brick, and a full cast.
Face Off by David Baldacci, narrated by Dylan Baker, Dennis Boutsikaris, and a full cast.
Heroes, Gods, and Monsters of the Greek Myths by Bernard Evslin, narrated by Todd Habercorn.
The Legend of Drizzt by R.A. Salvatore, narrated by Dan Harmon, Danny Pudi, and a full cast.
And The Wily O'Reilly by Patrick Taylor, narrated by John Keating. And the Audie goes to...
The Assassination of Margaret Thatcher. I gotta go kill my agent. See you.
Nicely done. Blogs. What a word. Really, it's like the twin of blurb. Blogs are a major source of information on the internet. And tonight, I'd like to invite two bloggers who are helping raise awareness for audio. Yes, they are. Champions to the cause. Mary Berkey has blogged as audiobooker for nearly 10 years, and Jennifer Connor, mother of two daughters, was named the 2015 Audio Blogger of the Year by the APA. And Jennifer has been blogging at Literate Housewife. I repeat, Literate Housewife since 2007, and now she is still literate. Mary Berkey is an educator. She writes the Voices in My Head audiobook column for Booklist magazine and is the author of Audiobooks for Youth, a practical guide to sound literature. Oh, I love that. Jennifer Connor is a Michigan native, and before she, so is one other person. And before she became an audiobook convert, Jennifer used to pick up her book while waiting at stoplights. And often that ended with drivers pissed off. Could you imagine? You didn't do that in Boston. Blaring their horns at her. I mean, that seems so tame. In my neighborhood, there's a lot less road rage in her hometown thanks to Jennifer now listening rather than reading in her car. Take it away and read something for us.
Thank you, Jack, and the drivers in Virginia all the way to Michigan, thank all of you. We are pleased to announce the finalists in the category of children's titles for ages up to 8. They are Deep in the Swamp by Donna M. Bateman, narrated by Tom Chapin. Follow, Follow by Marilyn Singer, narrated by Marilyn Singer and Joe Morton. Horse by Christopher Myers, narrated by Christopher Myers and Dion Graham. Josephine by Patricia Ruby Powell, narrated by Lizanne Mitchell. This Is Not My Hat by John Clausen, narrated by John Keating. Timeless Tales of Beatrix Potter by Beatrix Potter, narrated by Catherine Kellgren. And the Audie goes to Horse. Author Christopher Myers, narrator Christopher Myers and Dion Graham, publisher Live Oak Media.
Next, we have the finalists in the category of children's titles for ages 8 to 12. First up is The Graveyard Book, written by Neil Gaiman, narrated by Neil Gaiman, and a full cast. The Hero's Guide to Being an Outlaw by Christopher Healy, narrated by Bronson Pinchot. How to Catch a Boggle by Catherine Jinks, narrated by Mandy Williams. A Snicker of Magic by Natalie Lloyd, narrated by Cassandra Morris. Unstoppable Octobia May by Sharon Seaflake, narrated by Bonnie Turpin. And the winner is The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman and a full cast.
The phenomenon of fully grown people reading and listening to young adult stories continues to get a lot of attention in the press.
Yeah, you know, it might be true that most teenagers don't want to read about the problems of the middle-aged, though we could probably really scare them with a dystopian audiobook called The AARP Games. But in recent years, there are plenty of adults who love to read YA novels and want to listen to those stories about teenagers.
And I am certainly one of them. The finalists in the teen category are The Accidental Highwayman by Ben Tripp, narrated by Steve West. Boston Jackie, by L.A. Meyer, narrated by Katherine Kellgren. Cress by Marissa Meyer, narrated by Rebecca Soler. Curtsies and Conspiracies by Gail Carriger, narrated by Maura Quirk. Egg and Spoon by Gregory Maguire, narrated by Michael Page. And The Impossible Knife of Memory by Lori Halse Anderson, narrated by Julia Whelan and Luke Daniels. And the winner of the Audie is Egg and Spoon, author Gregory Maguire, narrated by Michael Page, publisher Brilliance Audio.
There is a type of writing that gets into your blood, suspense that keeps you up at night, and plot lines that bring you face to face with the darkness lurking in everyone, even the person next to you. Our next presenter is a master of crafting all three and is the perfect person to introduce our next two categories. Please join me in welcoming the #1 New York Times best-selling author, Karen Slaughter. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you to my friends at Blackstone for inviting me to do this. Audiobooks are very important to me. Growing up, we couldn't afford them, but as the youngest of three girls, I appreciated listening to my dad tell stories when we would go to Florida, or as we in Georgia call it, the Redneck Riviera, for our vacation. And my dad would tell us these cautionary tales, like the little girl who fought with her sisters and died, or the little girl who touched the air conditioner and died. So you can see why I was drawn to mystery, because it's a mystery we didn't kill each other. So here are the nominees. The Dead Will Tell by Linda Castillo, narrated by Kathleen McInerney. Hounded by David Rosenfeld, narrated by Grover Gardner. Malice by Kaigo Higashino. They did phonetically have these spelled out. It's more confusing than you'd believe. Narrated by Jeff Woodman. Missing You by Harlan Coben, narrated by January Lavoie. Providence Rag by Bruce De Silva, narrated by Jeff Woodman. And The Silkworm by Robert Galbraith, narrated by Robert Glenister. And the winner is, you're right, it's very messy up here. The Silkworm by Robert Galbraith, narrated by Robert Glenister. My script says to say something funny here. I feel like I've already done that, so I'm just going to announce the other nominees for Thriller. The Avengers Lost Episodes, Volume 1, Hot Snow, adapted by John Dorney. Dead Six by Larry Correia and Mike Kupari, narrated by Bronson Pinchot. In the Morning I'll Be Gone by Adrian McKinty, narrated by Jared Doyle. The Lost Key by Catherine Coulter and J.T. Ellison, narrated by Renee Rodman and McLeod Andrews. Those Who Wish Me Dead by Michael Corita, narrated by Robert Petkoff. Wayfaring Stranger by James Lee Burke, narrated by Will Patton. And the winner is, I should draw this out because it's thriller suspense. Those Who Wish Me Dead by Michael Corita. Thank you.
That was very exciting. Someone in the audience is very expressive. They must be involved with audiobooks. Susan Hanfield is an LA-based actress and Audie Award finalist whose overactive imagination sometimes gets the best of her, especially when prepping paranormal books late at night. On one such occasion, she received this email from an author. "This stuff is true. Lock those doors tight." And for the rest of the night, and for many nights thereafter, Susan found herself peeking out of her locked windows from behind closed curtains, convinced that she saw one of the characters lurking in the dark outside her home.
I'm sure he was there.
I'm sure of it too, because I was that character. Please, take over.
Thank you, Jack. I'm very honored to be here tonight, and congratulations to all of the nominees. This year's nominations for science fiction take us to distant planets, parallel universes, unimaginable worlds, and hopeless scenarios, all the while keeping us on the edge of our seats. The nominees for science fiction are The Beam, Season 1, by Sean Platt and Johnny B. Truant, narrated by Johnny Heller, Tara Sands, and a full cast. Dark Eden, by Chris Beckett, narrated by Matthew Froh, Jane Entwistle, and a full cast. The First 15 Lives of Harry August, by Claire North, narrated by Peter Kenny. Lock-In, by John Scalzi, narrated by Will Wheaton, Amber Benson, and a full cast. The Martian, by Andy Weir, narrated by R.C. Bray. And the winner is The Martian. Andy Weir, narrated by R.C. Bray, Podium Publisher. And here are the finalists in the fantasy category. Cress by Marissa Meyer, narrated by Rebecca Soler. The Emperor's Blades by Brian Stavely, narrated by Simon Vance. Hawk by Stephen Brist, narrated by Bernard Sotero Clark. The Queen of the Tierling by Erica Johansson, narrated by Catherine Kellgren. Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson, narrated by Kate Redding and Michael Kramer. And the winner is Words of Radiance. Brandon Sanderson, narrator Kate Redding, and Michael Kramer, Macmillan Audio. The paranormal, it's more than a scary story. It's an unexplainable ride for your emotions, transporting you from fear to sadness, anxiety to empathy, paranoia to remorse. It's a ride that's unpredictable and sometimes uncomfortable, kind of like my subway ride over here. The finalists for paranormal are Demorin by Seth Skorkowski, narrated by R.C. Bray. The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey, narrated by Finty Williams. Pleasure of a Dark Prince by Cresley Cole, narrated by Robert Petkoff. A Second Chance by Jody Taylor, narrated by Zara Ram. Suffer the Children by Craig DeLuey, narrated by R.C. Bray. And Yesterday's Gone, Season 1, by Sean Platt and David Wright, narrated by R.C. Bray, Chris Patton, and a full cast. And the winner is The Girl with All the Gifts. M.R. Carey, Finty Williams, Hachette Audio. Congratulations, everyone.
The next presenter to take the stage is Audenrele Ojo. She's the wearer of many creative hats: actress, voiceover artist, producer, and photographer, and much sought after, by the way. Audenrele was raised in the theater, and so the stage and spotlight are always her first love. I'm her second. She is currently working on producing her first feature film around the subject of PTSD. Please.
Thank you, Jack. It's an awesome pleasure to be here tonight attending and presenting at my first Audie Awards. Yay. So let's jump right in. For my first category, don't be alarmed, you will not need to see a doctor for the multi-voices playing in your head. Well, maybe some of you. And the nominees for multi-voice performance are The Anatomy Lesson by Nina Siegel, narrated by Adam Alexi Mal, Peter Altshuler, and a full cast. The Graveyard Book, written and read by Neil Gaiman and a full cast. Land of Love and Drowning by Tiffany Yannick, narrated by Sharice Booth, Corey Jackson, and a full cast. A Long Time Gone by Karen White, narrated by Susan Bennett, Jennifer Ikeda, and Pilar Witherspoon. The 16th of June by Maya Lang, narrated by Julia Wellen, Will Dameron, and McLeod Andrews. Stars, original stories based on the songs of Janice Ian, by Janice Ian and Mike Resnick, narrated by Janice Ian, Emily Rankin, and a full cast. And the winner is, I tried to cheat and open this earlier. They caught me. The winner is The Graveyard Book. Author Neil Gaiman, narrator full cast, publisher Harper Audio, HarperCollins. So I know before we had the flat screen, most of you remember televisions when they had like that big butt on the back, and so, and some of you might even remember needing a set of pliers like to turn the knob because it fell off. Right, don't act like I'm the only one. And I know a few of you are in here who remember just crowding around that little box we call a radio, where it was just the voices and the pictures in your own mind. The finalists in audio drama are Anne Manx and the Blood Chase by Larry Weiner, narrated by Claudia Christian, Maura Kelly, and a full cast. The Hound of the Baskervilles by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, adapted by David Pichette and R. Hamilton Wright, narrated by an LA TheaterWorks full cast performance. Mistborn, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson, narrated by Terrence Aselford, Kimberly Gilbert, and a full cast. The Swords of Riverside by Ellen Kushner and Delia Sherman, narrated by Ellen Kushner, Barbara Rosenblatt, and a full cast. Under Drake's Flag by G.A. Henty, narrated by Brian Blessed. And the winner is The Hound of the Baskervilles. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, David Pichette, and R. Hamilton Wright. Narrator, full cast, publisher, LA Theater Works. And I love the quote, "Be yourself, because an original is worth more than a copy." And these next audiobooks are definitely leading the pack in the category of original work. The nominees are The Child by Sebastian Fitzek, narrated by Rupert Penry Jones, Jack Bolter, and a full cast. Gadzooks, a comically quirky audiobook by Adele Park, narrated by Gary Morris, Andra Harbold, and a full cast. Hamlet, Prince of Denmark, by A.J. Hartley and David Hewson, narrated by Richard Armitage. Mandela, an audio history by Nelson Mandela, narrated by Desmond Tutu, Nelson Mandela, and Joe Richmond. Transparent Behind the Scenes, narrated by Jeffrey Tambor. The winner is Mandela, an audio history. Author Nelson Mandela, narrator Desmond Tutu, Nelson Mandela, and Joe Richmond. Publisher Highbridge, a division of Recorded Books. Congratulations all. And now, for a special award, I'd like to welcome to the stage our next presenter, Elisa Shokoff, Vice President of Production for Simon & Schuster.
Hello. Just get this here. So I'm so honored and so very happy to be here tonight to celebrate the wonderful Edward Herman. I'm not certain of much in life, but I'm certain that Ed, let me just fix this, is one of the greatest readers I've ever worked with, will ever work with, and will ever hear. Ed loved what we do. He loved words, he loved ideas, he loved telling stories. When Ed was reading a good book, he was in his element, and that was a thing to behold. In MGM Technicolor, truly, he brought to life the work of Doris Kearns Goodwin, whose book, The Bully Pulpit, is up for 2 awards tonight, and won. David McCullough, Laura Hillenbrand, Stephen King, Roger Ebert, and so many others. One of my very first productions for Simon & Schuster, and one of my very favorites still, was No Ordinary Time by Doris Kearns Goodwin about Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt, Ed territory. He dived into this book with such abandon and confidence and joy. I sat back, listened, and watched while something miraculous happened in the studio. The author Sarah Vall said of Ed that the great thing about him was he could make anything sound reassuring. This is near an impossible trick considering that so much of his work had to do with history, perhaps the least reassuring of topics. Working with Ed was always an event. Upon his arrival, great conversation, high spirits, lots of opinions, the anticipation that something remarkable was about to happen. Very few props were needed. Dunkin' Donuts coffee, an almond Danish, a microphone, and the book. It was Ed who first taught me to love audiobooks, and I know I'm not the only one. He amassed devoted fans, listeners and authors. He raised the bar for all of us. Ed made us sound good, extremely good. Late in his life, Franklin Roosevelt sent a cable to Winston Churchill in which he celebrated their great friendship. FDR wrote, "It is fun to be in the same decade with you." I feel the same about Ed, and I miss working with him. So now, I think we're going to see a video. Is that happening? This is Laura Hillenbrand, author of Unbroken, which Ed recorded for Penguin Random House Audio.
I never met Ed Herman in person, but when I write, he sits beside me. Ed was our virtuoso of language, and his every reading was a lesson in storytelling. He taught the immense power of restraint and how narratives breathe in the spaces between sentences. He demonstrated the beautiful paradox of laying down a word so gently that it fells his listeners. He lifted words from repose on the page and summoned life from them. His voice was the leavening of literature. To hear him speak my words, I told him when he recorded my audiobook, was like listening to John Lennon sing my song. So when I write, I hear him in my mind, showing me where my words flow and where they snag. For as long as I write, he'll be with me, helping me tell my stories. Goodbye to Ed Herman, and thank you. You were the best there ever was.
We're so happy tonight. We're so happy tonight to have Star Herman, Ed's wife, and their daughter Emma Herman with us. I would like them to join me on stage, if they would, to accept the Special Achievement Award for Edward Herman.
My father was not simply an incredible performer, but also a friend, a mentor, and also a father to everyone he met. His work and relationship with you all, sorry. Go ahead. Meant a lot, and he will love you forever, more than words can express. Thank you.
If Ed was here, he would be thrilled to have you all here and to honor him. He loved the spoken word. He loved good books. He had an incredible library. And as people have said, how he loved to read and narrate. He would go crazy till the books would come because he'd have to sit and read through them before he would go and work on them. And we would talk about the characters and the feelings and everything. He honored every author that he narrated. No one was better than someone else. To him, that they were asking him to read their words was an honor. So he gave as much effort, whether it was Roosevelt to a murder mystery, it was a thrill to him. We've read to our children since they were little, every night trying to read books. And that would be one thing he would say to you: read, to your family. Read to your children. It is not a dying art. When you hear words, it makes it come alive. I will tell you, we have tons of audiobooks. I must keep them in business because I always have like 3 or 4 books in the car. And Ed would, we would listen to them together, and he'd think, well, he says, do I sound as good as they do? And I think, oh yeah. Yeah. Do you think I could have recorded that? But, probably yes. But this is, So, and I'm going to tell you something that he did for me that was absolutely thrilling. My favorite presents from him is he would give me a book I wanted, and every night when we got in bed, he would read to me. I can't tell you how wonderful. I would sit in bed, and he would read to me until I'd maybe nod off, and he'd say, are you asleep? No. And sometimes when he was ill, I would say, let me read to you. And I'd be reading, he goes, that's okay. I'll read. I want you to know how many times books on tape have saved my life, driving to schools, driving to New York. And I'm going to tell you one little story, and I'm going to sit down. My daughter's doing an apprenticeship our daughter in New York this summer. I was sitting outside the dorm trying to move her in. I had been sitting there in the car for over an hour and a half to not get a ticket. The one time I went in the building and came out, I got a ticket. I was going crazy, and Emma goes, I'm trying to get stuff worked out so I can get moved in. I was sitting in the car, and I thought, I've got this book on tape, The Golem of Hollywood. I'll just put it back on. So I sat there for another hour like that because I was so enthralled. I listen to them when I drive in and out of New York. They keep me awake. They inspire me. And every time I'm doing something all day long, how quick can I get in my car again so I can listen to this? And I'm not kidding you. Or I'll clean my car and turn the radio on really loud so I can hear the books on tape. And you guys have been great friends to me since he's passed. It's been listening to books on tape that have helped the time go. He loved you, he respected you, he loved working in the studio, and he loves the history that comes with books. So read, get others to read, get people to listen to books, and don't let it die, but keep it going. Thank you so much.
I have your glasses. Oh, no wonder there was that reading issue. That was very moving. I just want to say that message of reading is so important. And I'll just give you a little something. I go into prisons all the time to talk to young men. And I cannot tell you that how wonderful it is that you do audiobooks, because 60% of them cannot read. Therefore, when you walk into a cell block, on the loudspeaker in the cell block is an audiobook. And there are men, young men, who might be up to mischief, who are absolutely frozen from listening to a good book. It's really wonderful what you all do. It truly is. Well, the next pair of presenters met each other when one was a 19-year-old intern and the other had bad hair. In the 20 years since, they've managed to work together on something like 1,000 audiobooks. And between them, they have about 5,000 credits. I know the taller guy from our time sharing a couple of beers and a fish head. I swear this is true. A fish head in Boston that was this big. He ordered the head. Said, yes, the fillet would be nice, but may I have the head of the fish? We ate it with our hands. We were like washed up on a beach. That's all to say that I can vouch for him, that he is one of us, a real human being. The other guy, I'll take Dan's word that he's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, here are Dan Zitt of Penguin Random House Audio and John McElroy of Elgin Productions, Inc. Gentlemen.
Thank you, folks. You know, Jack, I actually take exception with that introduction. John had no hair 20 years ago. Guaranteed. There's no way he had hair. But the truth is, John, over the last 20 years, we've been through a lot. Blood, sweat, tears.
And that's just one night with John Heller.
Oh. But we've also seen a lot of changes in the industry. The end of analog, the rise of digital, the near extinction of the abridgment.
You know, Dan, I actually did a 2-hour abridgment of Stephen King's The Stand. I just pulled out every word and left the every 20th one, and it was just fantastic stuff. Great. Fine work.
Does he still return your calls? See, that wouldn't happen today. Progress.
All right, enough with this reminiscing. Let's actually make some progress and give out awards to authors who may still speak to me. Emphasis on may.
Yeah, let's hurry up before you lose the rest of that hair.
Oh, Dan. All right. Narration by the author or authors. A Fighting Chance, written and read by Elizabeth Warren. Herbie Hancock, Possibilities, by Herbie Hancock and Lisa Dickey, narrated by Herbie Hancock. Not My Father's Son, written and read by Alan Cumming. What I Know for Sure, written and read by Oprah Winfrey. Yes, Please, written and read by Amy Poehler with a full cast. And the winner is, Daniel?
The winner is Not My Father's Son, Alan Cumming.
On behalf of Alan, thank you very much. He's unfortunately unable to be here. Thank you.
You know, speaking of changes in the industry, I can't believe how many, what a variety of genres we're producing these days. You know, it used to be fiction, nonfiction, history, some business. Now we got sci-fi, fantasy, dinosaur erotica.
Dinosaur erotica?
You know, like Taken by the Triceratops, Ravished by the Pterodactyl, Randy Raptor's Gone Wild.
Dinosaur love, I just don't get it, Dan.
People your age never do.
Rough.
But here's an award for some ladies whose only brush with the Stone Age will be coming up on stage and getting an award from you.
Oh, it just gets worse, Daniel.
The award for Best Solo Narration Female. The nominees are Boston Jackie by L.A. Meyer, narrated by Katherine Kellgren, or Katie Kellgren. We're friends, I can say that. Life Drawing by Robin Black, narrated by Cassandra Campbell. Murphy's Law by Reese Bowen, narrated by Nicola Barber. Until the End of the World by Sarah Lyons Fleming, narrated by Julia Whalen. Wait.
Okay, all right.
We're not done.
All right.
Jesus.
Jumping the gun.
It's setting in. It's setting in. Jeez. Written in my own heart's blood by Diana Gabaldon. Narrated by Davina Porter. Yellow Crocus by Layla Ibrahim. Narrated by Bonnie Turpin. Now.
And the winner is Yellow Crocus.
Wow. I'm a little surprised. I really didn't expect this, and I'm so honored to be in such amazing company as these other women narrators. I've listened to the entire Outlander series narrated by Davina Porter, and Cassandra Campbell directed my very first audiobook and has been a guide to me in this business, and I love her voice as well. And I could go on and on about all of these women, but I just really want to thank the Audio Publishers Association, and special thanks to Brilliance Publishing for hiring me to narrate this book and for bringing me out for the awards. And thank you.
You know, Dan, after producing over 1,000 books together, you'd think we could actually do some original content ourselves.
Yeah, I'm sure that everyone in this room is now clamoring for the new Zit McElroy production.
Oh, yeah, it's good stuff. No, but you could talk about what it's like to record Presidents Clinton and Bush, Michelle Obama.
That's a good idea. And you can talk about what it was like to record Thomas Jefferson or your first-person account of the Declaration of Independence.
Respect, Daniel. Look at you. Got a little gray in there, little stress lines on that mug. You're a grizzled veteran.
Agreed. But after, a couple thousand audiobooks, I can go a little George Clooney up here, just like you can go a little Benjamin Franklin with yours.
Oh, again. By the way, footnote, only in audiobooks is he George Clooney. All right. Let's move on to tonight's real studs, besides the Triceratops. The nominees for the Best Solo Narration Male. Hamlet, Prince of Denmark, by A.J. Hartley and David Hewson. Narrated by Richard Armitage. The Hero's Guide to Being an Outlaw, by Christopher Healy. Narrated by Bronson Pinchot. The Martian, by Andy Weir. Narrated by R.C. Bray. Mr. Mercedes, by Stephen King. Narrated by Will Patton. The Other Story, by Tatiana de Ronay. Narrated by Simon Vance. Radiance of Tomorrow, by Ishmael Bea. Narrated by Dion Graham. Dan?
Yes, Father. And the winner is The Hero's Guide to Being an Outlaw. Oh. Christopher Healy, narrated by Bronson Pinchot.
Janet Benson, a 25-year veteran of the audio publishing industry, is the Audies Competition Chair and co-president at Audio Editions. Please.
I don't know about you, but I'm still a little choked up from the Ed Herman tribute, so Bear with me. The Audio Award for Distinguished Achievement in Production is presented to an audiobook that demonstrates excellence in all areas of production: direction, editing, sound, and performance. And this year's nominees are The Child by Sebastian Fitzek, narrated by Rupert Penry-Jones, Jack Bolter, and a full cast. The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman, narrated by Neil Gaiman, Derek Jacobi, and a full cast. Report from Nuremberg by Harold Burson, read by Christian Rummel, Richard McGonigal, and a full cast. And Revolution by Deborah Wiles, read by Stacey Aswad, Francois Baptiste, and a full cast. And the winner is The Graveyard Book.
A quick thank you to, of course, Neil Gaiman, who's always ever so enthusiastic about audiobooks and the potential of the medium, and to the amazing cast and our absolutely brilliant producer and director, Ali Muirden, and the engineer who put it all together, Jordan Killian. Or Killard, sorry.
And our final award of the evening, I hear the desserts are waiting, so. The Audiobook of the Year honors the title which meets the highest standards in production and also through marketing and sales can be said to have had a significant impact on the audiobook industry. This year's nominees for Audiobook of the Year are The Bully Pulpit by Doris Kearns Goodwin, narrated by Edward Herman. The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman, narrated by Neil Gaiman, Derek Jacobi, and a full cast. Mandela, An Audio History by Nelson Mandela, narrated by Desmond Tutu, Nelson Mandela, and Joe Richmond. And What I Know for Sure, written and read by Oprah Winfrey. And yes, please. So I was waiting for you to ask for it. That was, yeah. Thank you. Written and read by Amy Poehler with Carol Burnett, Seth Meyers, and many more. Jeez. And the winner is Mandela, An Audio History.
Wow, that was unexpected. Let me just say that when Mandela got out of prison in 1990, part of the reason the apartheid regime, the National Party at the time, let him out, it wasn't just because they were sort of being forced to or that they thought it was a good thing. It was also because they thought that he would come out and be frail and old, and the word they used was demythologized. They thought it would take away the myth. And didn't work out that way in the end. 25 years later, Mandela's name, I think we know how it's going to go down in the history books. But there are a lot of voices and stories and people whose names won't be recorded by history. And this story, we felt, Mandela always talked about a collective struggle, and we tried to create kind of a collective history. And that's what we wanted to do. So I would also like to dedicate this to some of those people whose names won't be remembered, and a lot of them have left us over the last few years. So thank you very much.
Linda.
And all the finalists and all the winners and all the presenters and everyone who really made this evening special. So it's been another fabulous night, and before we go upstairs and get our dessert and champagne, allow me to just thank a few of the people that made tonight possible. Thanks to Janet Benson and all her very hard work. She's Audie's judging chair, to Choral Graphics for donating the Audies program, to Audies Gala Chair Cheryl Herman and her committee, to the APA headquarters team, and to Audible. The generous support of so many people and companies ensure that we remain strong as an organization, and it sure helps us throw the best party ever. So congratulations again to all the nominees and winners. So until next year, thank you and good night.